all of a sudden there's that garbage can again. Oh crap, I left this person out. And the garbage can's a droid. Go, go, go! You know? Yeah. So I think for me, the difficulty is in giving characters enough due. And having to pare down instead of making like every single person so big. But I mean, that's also one of the reasons why this thing is this big. There's a lot of characters and I go through a lot. Yeah, so Discord, Twitch, and Twitter, all of questions in there can obviously Discord, you guys, if you're listening to it, it's in the Macro Microcosm Discord. You can also join the Beautiful Machines Discord, which is in Nightbot right now. And Twitch is twitch.tv/usurperkings. Twitter is also usurperkings. Oh, and Instagram is usurperkings. Everything where I could make it one thing, I did. So, all right.
Yes. So, fun fact, we started naming things Usurper King after her book, Usurper Kings, her poetry collection, and then it just became a thing. So, we just continue with the thing because it's so easy, because we started making one, and then we made another, and then another, and then another. So, it's just a continuation of that. So, do we have any more questions?
From your reading, we can hear. Okay.
So, from your reading, we can hear distinctive tones and accents. Where do you get the inspiration for their character sounds, though? Oh.
Okay. So, Dr. Konek.
That's Tara.
Dr. Konek, I'll start with him. My father was a refugee, and his parents, after World War II, refugeed from Eastern Europe to Canada, ended up around the Quebec, Ontario area. So when I would listen to my Opa and my Oma especially on the phone, my Oma was born and raised in Germany in the 1930s. And her accent for English was quite, it was quite good because she had this Canadian English accent based on old soap operas because she taught herself English by watching
soap operas.
The soap operas. Yeah. So, but she would always have these little bits of German in there. And so for me to be able to the reason the book is called NEON Lieben, because obviously if you know German, the word is actually Liebchen, meine Liebchen, and that's what Karnak says, meine Liebchen, meine Liebchen. But since Baiko could not pronounce Liebchen and kept calling Lieben, it's the same thing I used to do listening to her on the telephone when I was a little kid, and I had a lot of hearing problems when I was little. And so every time my Oma was like, oh, meine Liebchen, ach, meine Liebchen, I love you, I would be like, Lieben, hey, because I couldn't hear her on the phone. So Dr. Karnak's accent is definitely influenced by my Oma and the way that she spoke. Tara!
Oh, Tara.
So there is a specific type of person that I was feeding off of when it comes to Tara. And really, I really wanted to do a voice that I hated. I hate it when you get these I've got a sugar sweet smile and I'm going to cut you down until you're 2 feet tall. How's that sound? I hate that accent. I hate that sound. Because to me, I'm like, can I punch you in the face? Please? So for me, Tara was, how can I make a voice that makes me feel icky? And that's how I did Tara. Certain characters are harder for me to stay in character with. You might see that later when I'm reading the second reading with 2 other characters in it. Those ones are a little bit harder. There's some accents that are easier for me to do than others. But really, as soon as I kind of get into the mode of the person, it's like performance. It's like, all right, I'm going to be Tara now. I'm going to tear you apart. Aren't you a little peach? Oh, no, I'm not from the South. I just trained. Sultry Southern Belle's prepared. Oh, no.
Sultry Southern Belle is prepared to die.
Well, as you find out in the book, everything about Tara is artificial, including her accent. So it's not a true, I'm just going to be a Southern Belle because the Southern Belle accent, oh, it's so sweet. Oh, my dear Lord. Like, oh, ain't you just the best thing ever? Like, that's more of a genuine Southern Belle. Tara is even fake in the way she talks. And that's the purpose of her. So her accent is fake. Yeah, I know. I was trying to sound Southern at that moment. I was trying to vindicate the Southern Belle. But Adorestos is interesting too because it's hard to do his voice. It's so deep. I can only go so deep. All right, so we've got another...
Lady has a question. Yeah. How long did it take you to write this book again? Oh boy.
Do I admit to this?
We're gonna have to.
Okay, so Tara needs to be stabbed by her own heels. Oh, you read it.
You read it. Yeah. Okay, please read it. It's funny. It's so funny. Her death is great.
Hey, spoiler alert.
Hey, one spoiler.
Okay, that's our spoiler for today. Our spoiler is...
I'm sorry, it's just Tara.
I know, it's Tara.
Killed her one time.
Yeah. So originally, I had started off the Lieben cycle with the novel Hedonism Wholesale Inc. And I had written that entire manuscript by the end of 2009. So I worked on it and workshopped it until 2012, and then I handed it to certain people. But as of about 2008, 2009, I had an original manuscript for NEON Lieben that is practically indistinguishable from what we have now. There are very few things from that first draft that actually made it into this book. For one thing, and this is something that I'm actually putting into the sequel, The Emptiness at the Center, I had originally patterned NEON Lieben's entire story structure back in 2009, 2012 off of the Sephirot in the Tree of Life. So, like, chapter 1, Malchuth, and we went up the Tree of Life with a couple of chapters each and actually kind of seeped into that. And that Sephirot, that Tree of Life, those meditations ended up almost into NEON Lieben. They were taken out, I believe, just a couple of days before it was done. It was going to the printers. Mostly because we realized that all of that time I had spent working on that was disconnected from the story itself. So instead, all of those things are going to come into Emptiness at the Center. So all that to say, I have been working on a version of NEON Lieben for about 12 years. And then other novels in the Lieben cycle were written, in the past 8 years. And then it took a good 8 years for me to write NEON Lieben, mostly because I had all of these other books already there. And I was like, but the story's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. It was always my intention to go back at the end and tell the origin once all of the rest of the stories were finished. But of course, that was silly of me because then there's no world building and everyone's going, I don't have your brain. What is it? What are you talking about? So about 8 years, I would say, before we actually have NEON Lieben here. That was a good question, Lady. And then I've got, Noah in the Discord. Yeah.
Sounds like a Southern
Nothing
Belle.
against the Southern Bells. Just Tara's fake. And she puts on an accent. And really, there's a specific person that Tegan and I both know.
Yeah.
That inspires a little bit of the way that I perform Tara. Basically, because she...
Yeah, let's no.
We want,
no.
She's a dear person, and I've actually learned a lot from this person. but the way that she puts on herself, especially when she's performing, it's like all of a sudden, boom, it's her performance face. And I love that idea of having Tara be this eternally artificial woman. Her body's artificial in a way, like she's got so much plastic and silicone she could float. You know, she's this completely fake, completely artificial being. We got a Bob Ross. We got a Bob Ross.
Oh, we have a good question above him. He
Where?
asks, how long before the sequel? Don't make us wait another 8 to 12 years.
Yeah. Okay, so the sequel, I've already started writing it. We already have the entire story structure down of the sequel.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah. And I... Thanks, Mope. He was around, yeah. Mope is totally right. He was around practically the entire time while I was writing all this. Yeah. Thanks, Mope. So it won't be 8 years, mostly because I have to get the emptiness at the center done, because I already have Isle of Noises, Hedonism Wholesale done. So books 3 and books 5 are already finished. Book 6 is about 75% there. Like, we just had to do this in order, so. Yeah. It's not going to be 8 years. That was the perfect use of the emoji Nico. That was so good. All right. Noah, I love how Noah caught up on so much plastic and silicone she could float. Yep. All right. So I'm going to take a moment here. We do have one question that was posited by Lori, ambassador, our Verena ambassador. What's your favorite underappreciated novel?
Oh, yes.
Aegis by R.L. Arns III. A superhero sci-fi written by Ray, who's in here right now. And yes, it was published by Verita Literary. I just find it's very underappreciated, and I want to give it love because Aegis was just so fun. And Earl really has such a powerful way of writing character. He's got this emotional ethos I think we all really need. So Aegis about Kyle Aegis Ross, this superpowered everyman. And I absolutely adore that you have this incredibly powerful man who's basically his superpower, if you distill it in my eyes, is he gets back up. He falls down, he breaks, he gets broken, he takes a slug to the arm, he gets back up. That is beyond all just this idea that even exhausted, he continues to act as that act as that shield. And yet at the same time, Kyle has such an emotional availability to him that I think that there's a lot of people that are missing a man who is completely non-toxic in his masculinity. I really do believe that Kyle Ross is just such a breath of fresh air. When you think of all these heroic novels and all these manly heroes, and he is 100% masculine, but he's 100% masculine in touch with the idea that emotions are there. So if you want something with a superhero that falls a lot and gets back up, who is a very emotionally available but struggling person in the novel, and who trips and finds his way back, it's such a relief. It's such an amazing character, and I really like what Ray did with the book. So definitely I would say Aegis is one of my favorite underappreciated novels, mostly because a lot of the other novels that I absolutely love are like William Gibson's Neuromancer. Well, that's not underappreciated. The Tomorrow War. Well, nope, not again. So yeah, I hope that helps. All right. Aw, Hayden says, Aegis is amazing. I have a beautiful copy recently read on my bookshelf. Thank you, Hayden. And we're going to find the link for... can you find the link for Aegis on Goodreads?
Yes, ma'am.
And put it in the... Thank you. And put it in the Discord? That would be great. Love me, or Aegis, I mean, says Earl. So Earl's there actually asking questions. So, yeah, Earl, you thought I was going to get through this without mentioning you. Nope. All right, one more question, then I'm going to take a drink of water, and then I'm going to get going on to the second reading. Which one should I answer?
Well, there was that one, and then the one right above it, I think.
Okay, yeah, so this is a quickie. Do you hide any secrets in your books that only a few people will find? You better read it. Yep. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, absolutely. Tegan's cackling. Yeah. There's lots of secrets. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think there's secrets that a few of my Hallows family, you guys will be like, ooh, what a nod. You know, there's definitely some things that you guys will be able to pick out. One more question. Where did the different names come from? Okay. So so basically when I'm making a character, I look at the concept behind that character. I look mostly at where I want that character to start emotionally or mentally and where I want them to end. What is it that character will inhabit? What will they learn through the process of being in this story? So for someone like Adrastos, for me, the inspiration was the Iliad and the character of Adrastea, she who does not run. And because Adrastea meant she who does not run, I kind of bastardized the name a little bit into Adrastos for this gargantuan gene-spliced super soldier who refuses to run from a battle. Basically, the entire thing with Adrastos is he does not run from any battle, ever. He will not run. And with that comes that stubbornness and that pride. And we'll get to Adrastos. I think we'll actually have time to do 3 readings instead of 2. But I always choose a name based on what that name actually means. So it's not, oh, this is pretty. You know, it's very purposeful. And I use a site, I haunt it really, behindthename.com. And I search for words that correlate to different meanings. I search for names. So they all come from somewhere. All of them have meaning. And that's basically one of those secrets. One of the secrets of NEON Lieben is that you can understand exactly who a character is by looking up the meaning of their name. All right. Woohoo, it's a secret. Obsessed with behind the name. It's very useful. Lady and Nico, absolutely fantastic. I love it. I love it. Yes, behindthename.com is one of my favorite sites on the internet. I love it. I always do. That's where I start when I'm building a character. All right. All right. We're going to move on to reading number 2. Okay. And Earl says, Adrastos. She sent me for food. She said, you decide. He runs Hallow's family. You guys will be like, ooh, what a nod. You know, there's definitely some things that you guys will be able to pick out. One more question. Where did the different names come from? Okay. So so basically when I'm making a character, I look at the concept behind that character. I look mostly at where I want that character to start emotionally or mentally and where I want them to end. What is it that character will inhabit? What will they learn through the process of being in this story? So for someone like Adrastos, for me, the inspiration was the Iliad and the character of Adrastea, she who does not run. And because Adrastea meant she who does not run, I kind of bastardized the name a little bit into Adrastos for this gargantuan gene-spliced super soldier who refuses to run from a battle. Basically, the entire thing with Adrastos is he does not run from any battle, ever. He will not run. And with that comes that stubbornness and that pride. And we'll get to Adrastos. I think we'll actually have time to do 3 readings instead of 2. But I always choose a name based on what that name actually means. So it's not, oh, this is pretty. It's very purposeful. And I use a site, I haunt it really, behindthename.com. And I search for words that correlate to different meanings. I search for names. So they all come from somewhere. All of them have meaning. And that's basically one of those secrets. One of the secrets of Neon Lieben is that you can understand exactly who a character is by looking up the meaning of their name. Okay. And Earl says, Adrastos. She sent me for food. She said, you decide. He runs away.